Hello everyone, Mark here, Mark's Max Muscle, and today we are taking a look at Gary Strydom versus Chris Bumstead in this picture comparison. A fan request from you guys, from your, this is part of your You Pick Tuesday lineup. Gary, of course, 1980s/1990s bodybuilder. Chris Bumstead, the current men's classic physique division champion, reigning and defending. I noticed Bob Ciccarello just did a video. I didn't watch it yet, but the title's kind of a little bit harsh on Chris Bumstead. He wouldn't have a career. Huh. Sean Ray, he was classic. Lee Labrada, he was classic as well. When there was no classic physique, and they had etched a decent little career out for themselves, didn't they? But anyway. In the front double, I like Chris Bumstead better, to tell you the truth. I figured Gary would be overwhelming him in size, and he is as far as the arms are concerned, but it's just quality, guys. Here's the front lat spread. And this is the same gosh darn thing. It's like a great big muscle man that's not great at posing versus a leaner guy that can pose. I mean, that's your difference here. Gary Strydom, he was massive. And I consider him underrated, I guess. But realistically, he had all the muscle in the world, but he really only had a couple of good shots. And the front double and the front lat weren't really one of them. They weren't bad. Now, the side chest was Gary Strydom's cup of tea. Look at this big man's manly. This is earlier on in his career. He was a little bit leaner then. He got more massive, but I think his balance was off a little bit later. He competed in that WBF, Vince McMahon's answer to the IFBB. Chris Bumstead, he is posing maybe even better than Strydom, but nothing doing. I think Gary Strydom has enough in this package to take out Chris Bumstead, but after the first two, I gotta say, he's probably down 2 poses. Turn to the side tricep. They were already at their side. Wow. Look at Gary Strydom's tricep itself. He's flatlining Chris Bumstead. But as far as the display of Bumstead, he's probably winning the shot. Thin skin condition, I'd say Bumstead has it, but take a close look. Gary Strydom, he had pretty good condition, and he also is winning on the calves, but it's pretty unfair to compare an old-fashioned guy with a modern guy in calves, because we don't walk around anymore. That's all they did. Everywhere they went, they walked. Simplicity. Here's the rear double bi. We think we do cardio, we call it. You know, back then we didn't do cardio. I walked to the store, which was 7 miles away. Hills, things of that nature. But anyway, back to the bodybuilding program. Back double is a very rare picture for Gary Strydom. It's as rare as the dodo bird. Back shots of Gary Strydom. Is that his upper lip or is that a mustache? Looks like a catfish mustache. Either which way, very similar meat on a totally different display. If that makes sense. In my estimation, if Gary was holding his back, arching it nice back like Bumstead, he could probably produce a similar rear double bi. Here's the abs and thigh. And here is one of Gary's really good shots. And to be honest, with all due respect to Strydom, he didn't have that many. He had the side chest. He had the abs and thigh. 2 of his best shots, probably getting Bumstead in both. Look at the heavy quad on Gary. Didn't look that big. Actually, Bumstead was destroying him on the quads. Probably the camera angle, which makes these, 80s versus nowadays picture comparisons fun. They're fun, but they're less accurate. Here's the most muscular, and this is a similar angle. And it does show that Bumstead, he's a big dude. Gary had longer quads, I think, than your bum man. Bum man could have longer calf region, whatever you call that bone. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Gary, he is ripped to shreds. Monsoon. Jesse the Body Ventura here with Gino. Gorilla Monsoon. Yeah, he is ripped to shreds. Not too smooth at all. Bumstead looks a little too smooth in comparison. But either which way, guys, Gary might be winning the most muscular. And I say might, because Bum looks huge. And look at the feathering in the quads. Ultimately, yeah, I would, Edward G. Robinson, see? Bumstead, I'd give him an edge. And if your argument is Gary, he had more muscle. Not back in the 80s, he didn't. But that was probably him at his best. His most peeled, his most stroided. And, ultimately, Bumstead, he would have a career. Even if the guy said it. Just a little bit of a clickbaity title to be thrown around. Especially for somebody that cries people do clickbait videos all the time. Call the kettle black, why don't you? Hit thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel. Have a nice one.